What's up, YouTube land? It's your boy Anton, aka Dr. Mix-a-Lot. And today I'm here to address one of probably the most commonly asked questions in this business from customers and bartenders alike. And that is, how much alcohol do I need to provide for my event? Now, I've been scratching my head over this one for years. I have to be honest, in my experience, there's really no foolproof formula or equation where you can just plug some numbers in, get exactly the amount of alcohol you need, and everybody's happy and you have exactly no alcohol at the end of the event, but just enough to satisfy everybody. Chances are you'll probably, even when you get the right numbers for those, have different preferences for different guests. So you can imagine how even if there are parties, the same type of party with the same amount of guests for the same duration, you're going to have different preferences, different requests, suggestions, etc. So you're just know that you're not always going to get it spot on. With that said, there are some data that we can get from our customers that can allow us to make some intelligent assumptions about how much alcohol we need to provide. And that can at least get us in a ballpark that will give the customer an understanding and appreciation of what they have to get, how much it might cost, and you can kind of help them along from there. So the purpose of this video is just to show you how I do it. I've been working on a bit of a formula of my own, just using simple Microsoft Office tools, some basic calculations, and I'm going to show you in this video how I arrive at that conclusion of how much alcohol I want to recommend my customers purchase. And trust me, once you're able to do this, your customers will love you for it, and it'll make you look that much more credible for your event. So with that, let's begin. All right, so I'm proud to say that I've made this drink supplies spreadsheet available on my website. I've been working hard to get some good content up there. So we're going to go to my website, drmixalot.com. See here, I got a little patched together website, nothing fancy, but again, just been working for me for years and it really gets the job done. So we're going to go to the freelance bartenders only section, where again, this is a great wealth of resources that I'm trying to make available to everybody. We have videos here, different things that'll help you address these different scenarios as a freelance bartenders, templates, customer service agreements, cocktail list ideas, the whole nine. So hopefully this will be helpful for you. But what we're going to focus on today is the drink supplies spreadsheet. So we can just download that and we should be able to bring that up. Again, you're going to want to get the Microsoft Office suite if you don't have it. You want Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, etc., just to be able to do basic processing things to run your business efficiently. So once I've downloaded that, I know there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to try to break it down as best I can. And I'd really be interested to hear any feedback you all have about how I can kind of streamline this thing. But I've been using this for years. I've kind of evolved this from actually freelance bartending for dummies. There's some other material out there, and they actually started with a list here for doing private events. But as you can see, this is really varies widely. It's very general, and I kind of wanted to build off of that and make the calculations a little more precise. So the first step here, I'm going to zero all of these out for the purposes of our demonstration, just to kind of make a clean slate. All right, so to break this down, step one, this is the general idea here is that you're going to have a certain number of servings for a certain amount of guests who drink at a certain rate for the total hours of the events. So to start off here, I'm just going to do something real simple. Start off with a very standard party. So we can start here by doing 80 guests with one drink per guest per hour. Now, I want to caution you here that technically speaking, especially if you're alcohol awareness certified, you should know that you really should not be drinking or serving guests more than one drink per hour, because that will eventually get you over the legal limit if you continue to serve any heavier than that. With that said, this is completely an estimate, and you may have heavier drinking crowds. That doesn't necessarily mean that every individual is drinking more than one drink at a time, but you have maybe crowds where there are heavier drinkers, and then there's some people that don't drink at all, but you want to compensate for that. With that said, I wouldn't go over 2 drinks per guest per hour. Obviously, that's starting to get out of hand. But you can do 1.5, 1.75, etc., to get as close as you want to compensate for your guest list. But for my purposes, I usually just do 1 drink per guest per hour. We have a 4-hour event. And boom, these are your total servings. So if you have 80 guests that drink 1 drink per hour for 4 hours, you'll need 320 total servings of alcohol to make sure that you don't run out. Now, in step 2, this is another precise way of making things more precise, because you can break it down into beer, wine, and liquor percentages. So, for example, if you have just a beer and wine only event, you can go flexible and just do 50-50 with no liquor at all. But for the purposes of this standard example, we usually have about 20% beer, 20% wine, and the rest liquor. So again, all of these, your target will add up to your target number of servings you want to have, your bare minimum servings for these amount of guests at this drink rate per hour. Now here is your actual. When you start filling in the blanks here, you're going to come up with your actual amount that you're going to be serving if you do it based on the numbers you enter here. So again, you can use this as a base just to kind of figure out where to start and then get more precise once you see how the numbers add up. Now, I'll point out here that we have this split up into your wines: white, red, blush wine, champagne. Then your liquors here: vodka, gin, rum, tequila, triple sec, scotch, brandy, etc. And your beer down here. Now, all of these are broken up into, just again to make things as precise as possible, these are broken up to the ounces, the standard ounces per serving, and then the amount of servings you'll get from that. So with 750 milliliter bottles of white wine, for example, one bottle of white wine is 25 ounces of liquid. And you do a standard pour of 5 ounces, which gives you 5 servings per bottle. So you can play around with those numbers and see if you have 6 bottles of white wine, you have 30 servings, etc. So what we're going to do is start here. So we have 80 guests, so between 60 and 100 guests, again, which is a very wide range. So the numbers here, we can get a little more precise with that. But we'll start there just to have a foundation. So 2 vodka, again, to me, I think is too much for an 80-person event, but we'll start there. 2 rum, 1 gin. You'll see here, actually, I put triple sec. It's really supposed to be scotch, but I would just recommend adding a bottle of triple sec to any party. You usually only need 1 bottle, even if it's like, I'd say up to maybe even about 130 guests. You're really not going to use a lot of triple sec unless you're doing like a margarita event or something. But with that, we'll switch it back to the standard scotch. So we're going to provide 1 scotch, 1 whiskey, 1 bourbon. And even then, again, these are all pretty redundant. Most people can't even tell the difference between scotch, whiskey, and bourbon, even though you're hardcore, aficionados out there may be able to tell the difference. So I like to split it up and make sure we have all of them available. Then your brandy and tequila. And then, so it says here your target is about 64 bottles of beer. So we'll do that. And as you can see, we're already way over the limit. Now, actually, I don't even want to call this a limit. This is actually, I'd say, a foundation. You want to have at least these many servings. Again, there's no foolproof way. And chances are you're probably going to have a little too much. But in 7 years of operation, I have really never heard a customer complain about having too much liquor. It is a problem that they have to solve. But I usually don't get a lot of grumbles out of, if I overestimated how much you're supposed to have, because again, there's only so much you can do. But I do like to try to get as close as I can here. So again, like I said before, For an 80-person event, I would only probably do about one bottle of liquor each. That way you'll have what you call your speed rail, and you have all the liquors that you need to whip some stuff up. But as you can see here, we're about 369 total servings, and you want these two numbers to match as much as possible. So let's say we had a 130-person event, for example. We could easily change those numbers for 5 hours. And we got a lot more here. So then we could just start here. And you get the idea. So we're going to keep it on our standard one for now. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to play with those numbers. And I think it's really a really powerful tool for you to really be as precise as you can about how much alcohol to provide. Now, this is the most important part here. Of course, here you can be a lot more loose. These are a lot cheaper, so customers really aren't as stressed about having too many of these left over. So I usually go with the numbers that are just provided here, and that should be good right there. You also have your sodas here. You have your juice mixers here. And then what I call your miscellaneous mixers, grenadine, lime juice. You have your garnishes, lemons, limes, oranges, cherries, etc. But all this here is just to show you that if you come up with a list for your customers like this, they will love you for it. In fact, I actually try to charge a bit extra on top of this for this service, because this is a valuable service. And no matter how right or wrong you are about this, it takes time and effort and care and thought to come up with these figures. So you want to make sure that, you are adequately compensated for your time. I mean, for me, I just usually call this a little drink service consultation and drink list fee. So about $25, and I give them the whole shebang. But again, this is a great service. And once you have your numbers filled here, what we're going to do is go back to my website and download the drink supplies list, which I put in the form of a Word document. But here you go. This is a list that you can use for your guests. Of course, it's got my name on it, so you can change this how you will. But for the most part, you're just going to want to put your customer's first and last name, just personalize it a little bit. Now you'll see this is broken down into wine, beer, soda, juice, wine and liquor bottles, excuse me. So you have your 750 milliliter bottles, 12 ounce bottles and or cans of beer, 2-liter soda bottles, and then your juice broken up into quarts, which of course 4 quarts is a gallon. And then if you need to break it down any more than that, of course you have your nifty chart here that will break it down into ounces, serving sizes per ounce, etc. So again, I break this down. You don't have to do this. I just kind of do this as a little suggestion. But again, you can change these based on what you want. If people want, Courvoisier, which I can't spell here, instead of Hennessy, for example. I don't know why I picked that example, but you can change that however you want. So for here right now, I'm just going to go back to my Excel sheet. Then we have a little side-by-side comparison here. So we can do 6 white, 6 red, 4 blush, 4 champagne, and then 1 of each here. And again, you can kind of change things based on what you need. And I see this is actually a specialized one. So I'll make sure I change this on the website, but this should list, for now, we're going to pretend. In fact, I can just change this right now to what it's supposed to be. So you have your gin. Again, it's very easy, to change these things. So that's why I put in the form of a Word document, so we can change these as we need to. And cognac brandy again here. So again, beer is down here. I want to keep that separate from the others. Also, a good thing to provide is water bottles. I usually try to get make sure at least there's half to one full water bottle per guest. So I think for now, honestly, a good rule of thumb is just a bottle of water per bottle of beer, per drink. And that'll make sure that your customers can stay hydrated. You never want to run out of water, if anything else. So you want to just make sure that you have enough of that. And then we'll just go based on our standard guidelines of 4 club soda, 2 ginger ale, 4 cola, etc. And you can see here, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just wanted to get you an idea of how easy it is. Once you get the hard part out of the way of actually calculating this, you can make a list for your customers. I usually just try to save this as a PDF. And this is a list that you can, again, send to your customers. It's about as precise as you can hope for, though. Again, if there's any materials out there that you guys know about, definitely let me know. But I really hope this is a good way to help you answer that question of how much alcohol should I provide? Because I trust you're going to run into it. And I just want to make sure that you have the proper tools to deal with that. So anyway, I hope this gives you a good platform and another resource tool on how you can better serve your customers by helping them to figure out how much alcohol they're going to need. Again, this is a very commonly asked question, not just from customers, but from some of your bartenders. I've actually had to help some bartenders out with my events and their own, where they actually ask me, like, what should I provide? And again, I really like that spreadsheet because while, again, it's not foolproof, it does have a variety of parameters and criteria that you can use to kind of narrow it in the event. And honestly, I give the customers the disclaimer, look, this is just a ballpark estimate of how much alcohol to provide. But of course, you know the taste of your guests better than anybody. Kind of put it on them a little bit, but just let them know that this is just a ballpark, but it'll at least get you started. And trust me, it really helps a lot of customers. Even when I've kind of been off, again, you want to make sure that you'd rather provide too much than not enough, because you don't want to have an insurrection on your hands if anything like that happens. But I don't think I've ever really run out of alcohol using the formula. If the guests go according to my suggestions, which they don't always do, but we always find a way to make it work out. At the end of the day, that does maybe give you a little leg up on some of your other bartenders out there, that you can give a quick, decisive response when those customers ask how much I should provide. Some customers, I even make sure that in the lead, I whip up the drink list real quick just based on the amount of guests that they have, and send that as a little incentivizer to kind of, make me stand out above the crowd with some of the other bartenders that may be going for those leads. So make sure you check out the website, play around with the spreadsheet. Please give me your feedback and your comments. Trust me, my skin is tough. Even if it's awful, just let me know how you feel about this thing, and I'll definitely do my best to kind of streamline and make it good for everybody. Until then, I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, make sure you click the like or subscribe button. It's your boy Anton, aka Dr. Mix-a-Lot, signing off. As always, happy mixing and cheers to unbeatable service.